How come you're drinking beer on a Monday night?
Why not?
I was just curious. I didn't know if it was a special occasion or...
I had a beer. I want to have one. We were... We'll get... Are we doing this? Is it happening?
Sure. Why not? That's a good way to lead in, right?
Yeah. This is We Were Gamers episode 30-something?
We gotta stop counting at some point. 39.
39. All right. Yeah, I am drinking a beer because I wanted one. And we had bacon-wrapped chicken for dinner, and I felt a beer was needed.
I think that's an excellent choice.
Shout out to Chris, friend of the show, who we had on, who gave us the recipe, and Stephanie, who did all the hard prep work of wrapping chicken in bacon and marinating it and whatnot. It was real good.
It's pretty tasty.
As you might expect, based on the fact that it is literally chicken wrapped in bacon.
What's it marinated in?
It's like some garlic butter, salt and pepper. Not anything special, but just something to give the chicken some flavor.
Nice. I am not available for having a beer, as I am going to have to get up early tomorrow.
Because?
I'm getting on a plane. Yay!
Getting on a plane. Yay.
Vacation.
Woo!
So this will be the final non-pre-recorded episode for the next 2 weeks, right, JJ?
That's correct, because when you return from your vacation, I leave.
It's nice.
Yeah.
We get a little break. We've done some pre-recordings, so we will still be here with you while we're on vacation. But
there will be content on both the website and the We Were Gamers social media.
Absolutely. So let's get into it. This is, as JJ said, We Were Gamers. What's our show about, JJ?
We're two guys who used to play a lot more video games when we were younger, and now we're old and have life and responsibilities, so we can't do that. But we still like to talk about stuff, so we do that instead.
I like that we can try and attribute direction to this show, though there is not usually much.
Nope. It's usually just we talk about whatever we feel like, and then meh.
It's generally game-related.
Yeah, but not always.
Yeah. There's some homeowners minutes that are pretty good.
Yeah, I don't have any of those this week, thankfully.
Oh, no, we're taking the week off from homeowners minute without any rain. It's kind of nice.
Thank goodness. Bless up, fam. No rain. I still have areas in my backyard that are still mud, because it hasn't dried out yet.
That's impressive. That's a long time.
There's some areas that don't get any sun because of the overhang and the awning and stuff, so they just stay wet until it gets warm. Luckily, it's starting to get warm, so it's drying out, but it's slow.
Hey, since we started out on food, can I drag you into the greatest debate of our time?
Our times.
Maybe
okay.
Of all time.
Maybe. I don't know.
How do you feel about pickles? Not pickled items. Pickles.
I mean, I eat them. They're not bad. I'll eat them. They're pretty good. I don't know. Sure.
I can't get on board the pickled cucumber train.
Okay, so but you're against the idea of pickles, like pickled cucumbers.
Yeah.
But are you okay with pickled other stuff like kimchi or anything else that gets pickled?
I think that I don't know of anything else that is pickled that I dislike. Pickled carrots are awesome. Pickled cauliflower is amazing.
Those pickled carrots that they put in the jalapenos at Mexican restaurants and stuff. Oh, so good.
Fantastic.
Oh, love those things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Pickled onions. Great.
Yep. Very good. Or the little radishes are good too sometimes.
I guess I've never had pickled herring, which is probably the most famous pickled thing.
Yeah, I can't say that I've had it either. I don't know if I like it or not, but there's a strong possibility that I don't, knowing my flavor profiles.
I'm not on board with the pickle thing, and it seems to be a running disagreement with most people.
But just regular pickles, though.
Yeah, I don't like them.
But what? Why? Is it because do you need them crisp? Is that the issue?
No, it's just that has something to do with how they absorb the pickling brine and what the flavor ends up being. It's just off. Just tastes off.
I definitely like them like a pickle spear or like a wedge a lot more than the pickle, the sliced ones you find on hamburgers or whatever. Oh
yeah, I'm sure that was the initial impetus for this problem, but to this day we talked about this
before. The ones on hamburgers actually I think are pretty bad.
Oh, they're horrible.
In a lot of cases, I don't include them. I know that animal style In-N-Out or whatever will frequently give you pickles. But yeah, Adam, I take them or leave them. I don't really care so much about the pickles, but getting the sliced peppers on the In-N-Out is the important thing there.
That is the best part of that burger now for me.
Easily.
Oh man, I don't know. I will eat almost anything, as we've discussed on this thing before, but I keep finding myself at odds with people, and I had to know if you were on the pickle train or no.
Man, I just gotta, I want to like dig into your mind now and like understand why. What is with the pickle dislike? Because if you like all those other pickled things, it seems like pickles, pickled cucumbers would just be gravy.
I think that they don't absorb the flavor the same at all. And it just might be the way that, because cucumbers are such a water-filled and porous vegetable, they just absorb the brine differently, and it creates this just off flavor for me.
Huh.
It's odd.
Kimchi definitely has a lot of that pickled flavor, but you're still mostly tasting the spice and stuff with that, which I adore and is great. Yeah. The best thing about kimchi is it never goes bad. You can literally just leave it sit in your refrigerator for 1,000 years. It'll probably just be fine.
I keep trying to convince Katie that we need a Costco-sized kimchi.
I have a small one that I bought from an H Mart, and I've had for probably over a year and a half. Every so often, I'll just get a craving, go in there with a fork and eat 3 or 4, and then I'm good.
That is the best part of kimchi, I think, is just being able to snack on it constantly and not feel bad about it.
It's because it's just cabbage and some sauce and stuff, and maybe some onions or whatever thrown in there, but none of it goes bad. It's all pickled to heck and back.
Also, isn't it fermented?
Yeah, it's fermented cabbage.
Well, that's different than pickled, right?
Not much, though. The process is pretty substantially similar, I think.
It just creates a different flavor profile, though.
Maybe. I don't know. I am not a pickling or fermenting expert. If you are, write into podcast@wewergamers.com and let us know.
Yeah, please, because eventually we're going to have a garden here and we need to know how to pickle stuff. So
yeah, well, you'll learn pretty quick. I don't think it's that tough. People do it at home all the time.
Yeah. Should we talk about some game stuff so that people aren't completely bored?
I don't know. There's a decent chance that people are more bored by the game stuff than the ungame stuff. But yeah, what do you got for me?
I tried out the Overwatch event.
Oh, yeah? How'd it go, man? Well, I did not get to.
I usually leave my placement matches to do during these events so that I get something out of it.
Yeah, get something cool.
The event stuff is cool to me, like the stuff they're giving away. I tried one round of the Capture the Flag, and much like many people are reporting, it ended in a draw just because everyone turtles up and then you can't really do anything.
Yeah, that's tough about that mode. I'm not sure how you fix that.
Capture the Flag maps, not just putting Capture the Flag on existing maps.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, there's probably something about that.
Possibly reducing the team size, stuff like that. If they were going to have a Capture the Flag mode, this would not be it. It's pretty clear that they just sort of did it.
Maybe they're just testing stuff out and they wanted to see how it goes.
Yeah, I like the items, although, of course, every single time now, apparently nobody has anything better to do than to sit there with their tape measure and make sure all the character models are exactly identical to the previous ones.
Are you talking about how people complained that May's skin was wrong?
I didn't even notice it. They had to
Bro, it's a pretty big difference if you see them two compared to each other.
Really?
Yeah. It's one, May looks like a healthy-sized woman wearing a thick fur coat, and the other one, it looks like a lady scrunched into a corset with a coat that is comically large around all the other parts of her body. It's like they just took a slider on her waist in Photoshop and went zoop all the way down to small. It's pretty funny, actually, if you see them side by side. It was clearly something they would have fixed in a patch and not told anyone if someone hadn't said it out loud.
Oh, okay, so it was a mistake.
I'm pretty sure they said, sorry, this was wrong.
Oh, interesting.
Also, it makes it look like her spine has the worst scoliosis possible. It's like a giant S.
How does stuff like that get out the door if they're they know the community gets crazy about these sorts of things?
Because, dude, stuff is complicated and hard.
I guess.
It's not
and they're all over Zenyatta's face too, right?
I don't know anything about that.
There's a whole bunch of new memes about Zenyatta having this pretty new face or whatever.
I saw some people saying the new Anna skin is scary because it looks like something from one of those horror movies or something. Mask. I don't know. Whatever.
I don't know. I'm glad they do the events. I don't pay enough attention anymore to not kind of eye roll a little bit every time, because every time there's a complaint.
Yeah. I mean, people are passionate about their communities and those things, and with Overwatch characters being so specific and so intentionally made in such a way to appeal to those kinds of people, the May fan base got real mad.
Yeah, and I don't know, they're very specific about it, so it's clear, like, if there was a problem like that, they would have fixed it, like you said, so I don't see any point getting bent about it.
But that's not how the internet works, Andrew. Outraged all the time.
I know. And it's right to point it out, right? Like,
yeah,
just send a quick thing that just says, "Hey,
like,
notice,
this looks different."
Yeah, notice this change. Is that intentional?
Yeah, it's like I said. If no one had said anything, I'm sure someone in Blizzard's QA or in their pipeline would have looked at it and been like, "Oh, this is probably wrong," and fixed it at some point. Now, would it have been this week or next week? I don't know. But maybe it'd been 6 months. But I'm sure it would have been corrected eventually, because those people are sticklers for that kind of stuff at some level.
Well, there's some other changes coming too, right?
Yeah, they put out some talks about Bastion. I guess they're going to try out some new changes with him on the public test realm, because they don't think he's doing enough, or not doing enough things.
I think that his ultimate is not as good as it once was. People kind of know what to do, so.
Yeah, I don't. The article I read didn't talk about changing the ultimate much, but they talked about letting him use the heal while he can move.
Ooh.
Yeah, but then it would have to, instead of just being a whenever you want kind of thing, it would operate kind of like on a timed cooldown or something, or like on a resource-based system like Divas does.
Mm-hmm.
And it wouldn't be canceled by being shot, so obviously it might have to be reduced in power. And then changing some of the scattering of his gun and like some other kind of technical stuff to make him a little bit better. And then changing sort of the way you would use his siege mode, instead of just being a guy who sits there and just spams bullets everywhere, to sort of making some kind of, they wanted him to be like a wall breaker in the siege mode, but I don't really know how that works.
Wall breaker?
So if they put up a big good defense, you should be able to siege him up and shoot at the defense and find some way to break a hole in it. I don't know how that works exactly. I assume they're talking about like Reinhardt shields there.
Yeah, but he's a defensive hero, so.
I mean, you can still shoot at him.
Yeah.
Reinhardt's on the other team, right?
I guess. So that would mean making his siege mode more mobile, i.e. you could siege in and out a lot faster or something.
Yeah, they were talking about like eliminating headshots during the siege mode transition, which I guess would make it, you'd be less vulnerable while you're doing that transition.
Oh,
so you wouldn't
okay.
just get sniped while you're doing that.
Interesting.
I don't know. Anywho, interesting stuff.
I like Bastion. I'll take it.
Yeah, and there's a debate out there on the internet about if Bastion is worth playing. And, I think hopefully maybe they'll make him good. I don't know. Robots are cool.
Yeah. Well, I'm 0 for 6 in my placement matches, so I don't know that I have much to say about balance.
Bummer. I haven't played in a long time, so I don't either.
It definitely feels like I'm rusty, but it also feels like people just don't care anymore.
Yeah, same. I've been playing, so I'm going to drop this real quick. I've been playing some Dota again recently.
Purposefully?
Yeah. They put out a really big change with the 7.0 update, so I wanted to get back in and see what it was about. And they put out a new event for a player versus like a team versus mobs tower defense kind of thing, called the Dark Moon. It's been pretty fun. I've had a few friends and we do these little things. It's been pretty cool, like learning to use heroes with like some slightly modified abilities to kite waves of creeps all around the map and stuff. Been pretty fun.
Cool. I really do, once we catch up on a few games that we're all in the middle of, I got like 2 RPGs open and a couple other things. I would love to get into a TD again.
Yeah, man. That stuff, games keep coming out, unfortunately.
I know. It almost makes me, especially after I went 1 for 10 today on Hearthstone.
Ouch.
Yeah, I was trying to do some priest questing and it wasn't working out, and I'm pretty sure I wasn't on tilt. It got down to a lot of games where like Reno versus Reno, and I would Reno 1 turn too early, or I'd Reno 1 turn too late, and it was just like over at that point.
once you identify the matchup and that kind of stuff, you really have to be careful about drawing cards.
Oh yeah. Well, the other problem is like I took another like a control warrior to fatigue one game.
Mm-hmm.
I think 7 of the 10 games are fatigue games.
That's tough because it usually means by the time it gets to fatigue, the game is more or less decided.
Yeah,
and you kind of have to hope that you have enough because the control warrior is probably going to outlast you with all his armor stuff.
It's just getting to the point that all these matchups are just so like one card based at the end of it, and I'm just it's definitely fatiguing me on the ladder right now. So I don't know.
Gotta do what I do, and sometimes you just gotta play some pirate warrior, man. Just get in there.
I hear you. I hear you. I think it's just the trying to do quests that I should just re-roll and try and do them to match a deck I actually want to play.
Or I mean, I have what's the word? Like I tell people to try and maximize their amount of gold. If you get a 40 gold quest, no matter what it is, re-roll it to try and get more. Because you can't get less.
Yeah, but I've started rethinking that strategy because if it's a deck that I want to play, yeah, I miss out on 20 gold, but I can get it done faster and it's on my way on the ladder rather than going from rank 10 to 12 with Priest.
I mean, look, also I have taken a lot to doing quests in casual. Because, when I get a quest that's like play 30 rogue cards, okay, well I have a rogue deck, but like how many actual rogue cards are in that deck? 10? Maybe 15? And, the rest are stuff like the pirates, Gadgetzans, Drakes, stuff like that. And you're just like, if you go to a whole game to fatigue, which the game never goes to fatigue anyway, you either lose or win by turn 8 or whatever. And then, you'd only still done half the quest. Well, just make a deck that's 30 rogue cards, play all those rogue cards in casual, be done with it, man. I think especially for those play card quests, some classes, like their decks are not a lot of class cards.
Yeah, we talked about that before. Definitely seems like some of the quests mean you should play casual, but
oh yeah,
I don't know. I'm getting off topic. I was just after a day of losing like that, I definitely reevaluate how much time I should be spending on that game. I don't know. We'll see once the next adventure happens.
You mean expansion that's coming out next?
It should be an adventure next, right?
Nope.
Huh.
Nope. It goes expansion, adventure, expansion, and then the next year starts, and then expansion, adventure, expansion.
Okay.
I believe that's the intent.
All right. Well, we'll see.
But there should be some. So that's worth pointing out. Don't dust your cards. Keep them, because the nerfs will be coming, and the refunds will be real.
I don't think that there's going to be as many as you think.
Yeah, that's true. But, hey, any chance that you get for a full dust refund, you should take it. Maximize that gain. All
right, let's move on to something else.
All right.
I have an answer for your question that we both had. So it's not really your question, our question.
Okay.
The NES free games on the Switch.
Yeah.
The monthly ones.
Mm-hmm.
Will disappear after the month.
That seems bad.
It's worse than the other two systems offer.
Yeah. But so these games, right, they've enhanced them in some way. They've made them better. They've given them online functionality or something like this to make them worth this free status or whatever. Let you play people online in Street Fighter 2 or whatever other SNES or NES games. Let you do balloon fight races against someone over the internet. I don't know. But, how many people are going to play those online things if they're not free anymore?
Well, I think that what they're trying to do is essentially create a trial system, right, where they can get people to buy more games. Oh, I really liked my free month on that, and then they go out and buy it, in their theory.
Yeah, but then after I buy it and the month ends, no one's going to be playing it anymore. There's not going to be any people out there for me to play with. Unless it's just all leaderboard stuff, and then that's kind of a waste. And how do you even put this stuff in some of these games? I don't know. It just seems like a big waste of time and money to me. If you want to give people NES games or let them try NES games for free for a month or whatever, fine, I guess. But I don't know. All the rest of that stuff just seems really ill-conceived.
It certainly doesn't seem like it should be part of a paid service.
Yeah. It's here's your bonus for signing up for this service. A trial of one game every month, and then it goes away.
Yep.
What?
Yeah, I definitely will not be paying for their service currently.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, okay, well, but you won't be able to do any of the multiplayer stuff. Okay, cool. I guess I won't do any multiplayer stuff. I'll be able to play my Zelda and my Mario and my single-player RPGs that have nothing to do with your online stuff. Sorry, Splatoon and whatever other good games I'm sure they have. I just don't get it. It makes no sense to me.
No, I think you summed up my feelings. I'm more ambivalent than you, but you're not off the mark.
I think the entire Switch thing is a bad proposition until there's more stuff out there. Like, I personally would not even think about buying it until holiday time this year, and based on what they've put out at that point. Like, now it's just a joke. Like, why even consider buying it?
I think the technology looks like it's going to be awesome, and that kind of leads into an article I found.
Okay.
That I wanted to talk to you about. The title kind of says it all. This gentleman goes into a lot of specifics about his history with handheld gaming, and we'll post a link to this article. People can read it and see what they think.
Okay.
But his theorem is that with the fading 3DS, which is clearly not being replaced at this point,
right,
and the essentially dead Vita, which gets a new Persona game, but that's about it in the United States.
I don't think it even gets the Persona game.
Oh, it doesn't?
No, it's PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4.
Wow. So the essentially dead Vita. He's saying that the era of handheld gaming is now complete and dead.
Well, I mean, in a lot of ways, it's been supplanted by that smartphone, right? Is that his point?
His point is that the Game Boy and the depth of games for mobile and the experience of them being designed to be taken anywhere with you, started and stopped, but still full games, etc., is going to be at an end.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I still play games on my phone. I assume that I will continue to still play games there. But yeah, I mean, I don't see dedicated game handhelds as something that people should buy or own in the year of our Lord 2017.
Not even the Switch? You wouldn't count the Switch?
I think any time that I spend playing a Switch will be plugged into a TV. I extremely doubt that I would ever take it out of the dock unless I'm taking it on a plane or something, in which case it will die before I finish the flight.
There's a rumor that you can't charge it while it's being played.
Pretty true.
Yeah, I hope it's not true, but we'll see.
That's pretty lame. The technology seems cool, and it seems like a cool idea for a tablet thing, but like, there are iPads too, and they do substantially similar things. Maybe they cost more, but there's a lot more apps available for them at the moment, right?
Yeah. Do you think that handhelds are dead though, or do you think that there's going to be a secondary market now for these 3DSs and Game Boys and all these games that are carted that are never going to make it to phones,
I mean, there always are. There are collectors, people who love to have those kind of games because they remember them fondly. Just like there are people who play DS games, original DS games and Game Boy Advance games and stuff. Those physical items haven't gone away. It's probably harder to find a lot of them now, but, someone somewhere wants those things. I don't know who. And you're probably not being carried around much anymore.
I'm shocked that he would say dead and not evolved or something,
I mean, the evolution happened. The iPhone, Android phones, those phones are handheld gaming systems. They just also happen to have the internet and everything else. So in a way, they're already better than those other consoles ever were.
Mm-hmm.
So like, why carry around a platform that can only do one thing when you have a more powerful device already that does more things?
I'm still shocked that Sony and Nintendo have not made the iPhone cradle where you plug it in and now it's playing Nintendo games and you have controls and all that sort of stuff.
Who would buy that? I wouldn't. I think that's why. Like, I think there's not that many people that would buy that. Because why would you? You already have the phone. Why should you have to plug it into some weird thing? You gonna plug that in on the bus? I just, I feel like I'm making the case for myself here. Like, it's really obvious like why no one would make that. I don't think it would sell.
You made your point already before, where you say you don't even take your 3DS out anymore.
Yeah, like if I play 3DS games, I'm playing them at my house. Like what?
Uh-huh.
Because I'm in the other room watching a movie or TV or something.
Well, that's when actually I would probably be pulling the Switch out of the dock, right? So I could be out in a room with somebody else.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like I think the Switch is cool and I like Nintendo games, but like, man, I
don't know. I kind of wonder though about this article, and a lot of the things he says seem to not just be the death of these items, right? Because the Switch will still be there, and these older systems will be there, but it's kind of that maybe the phone has supplanted carrying them, and that you used to see kids in airports playing tons of Game Boys, but now they don't need to.
Right, because they have their iPad or whatever.
So it doesn't seem like it's fair to say that it's dead because they're just not being replaced, I
mean, I don't. Okay, the dedicated handheld market is dead because it has been taken over by general purpose handhelds.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe I'm not making myself clear. It doesn't seem like
I don't understand your point.
It doesn't seem like the item that has replaced it really replaced it, right? It seems like what he's saying in this is that he remembers the good old days when the lifestyle of having your handheld with you at all times, right? Like, to me and you, handheld gaming isn't really, I mean, yeah, I took my Game Gear everywhere when I was a kid, but I can't, like, look back and say, like, wow, I don't take my Game Gear with me everywhere and play it all the time. It's like, I'm not a child anymore. That doesn't mean that the handheld is dead. He kind of uses the wrong, and I think a lot of people use the wrong, like,
you're trying
barometer.
To say it's like a false equivalency or something?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, right? Like, people get older, you can't carry a Game Gear in your pocket to work. The use case isn't there necessarily. But, like, when you travel, right, how often are you pulling out that 3DS instead of just pulling out your phone? And, like, I do travel with my 3DS. And then, if I'm sitting in the airport, more often than not, I'm just going to pull out the phone because getting the 3DS out is like, well, I have to go into my bag and get it out. And then, like, how long am I actually going to sit here? I'm only going to be here for, like, 10 minutes, so I don't really want to get a thing started and, like, whatever. And so then I just, like, end up browsing stuff on my phone, and then, it's just a convenience situation.
I have two responses separately to that. One is I have to be traveling alone to be able to do that.
Right.
Which is unlikely. So if I'm not traveling alone, then I'm paying attention to children, etc. But my point being that the false equivalency then precludes the argument that there is still maybe a market for a dedicated handheld because people like myself actually kind of like having a handheld to play in bed. Like, oh, I'm going to go to bed now, but I want to play my 3DS for 30 minutes.
Sure. I just think the viability of that market is too small for them to consider making the device.
Well, I would agree with that for sure.
The number of people who are going to play it for 30 minutes before going to bed pales in comparison to the number of kids that used to play them in airports. And now that kids are not doing that anymore, the market is gone and therefore the device is dead. Yeah, I mean, you're probably right in that the person probably didn't articulate his thought very well. But I think it's probably pretty true in general. No one is buying 3DSs.
Yeah. It struggled at the start for sure. It took off later when they lowered the price, but the Vita never really got a good shot. Anyway, I think that we'll see Switches out and about, but definitely not that many. It's definitely going to be moving around the house, not really houses and parties, and that's probably about it. Yeah,
and I highly doubt the party thing even. That just doesn't seem like a thing that anyone will ever do in real life to me.
Yeah, I mean, if I go over to friends' houses like yours or Michael's or somebody else that I know might eventually end up with a Switch, I may bring it, but the odds of it coming out are so low.
Yeah, because there's so many other things you could do. Right?
Mm-hmm. Talking, watching movies, drinking beers.
Playing board games. Oh, my God. Yeah. Something else that we never have time to do anyway. So, anyway, I thought it was an interesting trip down thought process lane to think about how handhelds still get used, but maybe there's just
I guess you're right. There's not the financial concerns available.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're great for what they are. It's just I think the number of people that are interested in doing those things is smaller and smaller. Sad in some ways.
I'm going to post the article, and if anybody else has any thoughts, email them to us or tweet them at us or let us know what you think about.
Hit us up on the links.
Yeah, for sure. Well, JJ, what have you been up to? I've gotten in Hearthstone, a little bit of Overwatch, but overall it's been waxing my snowboard and prepping for this trip and dealing with rain. So what do you got?
Getting my ski stuff ready also. I'm heading out this weekend to do some skiing in Mammoth.
It was actually pretty cathartic to be out, having my snowboard out and waxing it and sharpening my edges and making sure everything was working. It was nice.
I'm not even doing that stuff. I'm so lazy.
Oh.
I'm just getting the clothes ready and out and all the boots cleaned and everything. But besides that, I actually found an article, Andrew, out on the internet about People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals is requesting that Games Workshop, the famed maker of Warhammer 40K and other Warhammer franchises.
We talked about Games Workshop and our histories with it in a very early episode on this show. I think it's actually titled after Warhammer. And I talked about my history of Space Wolf playing and JJ Dark Eldar, etc.
Yeah. So we have a good... it was several editions ago at this point, but we like Games Workshop and the miniatures and the games they produce.
Especially now their video game expansion is pretty great.
Yeah, they've made some good stuff in the recent years, and PETA has targeted them specifically for the Space Wolves, who are sort of kind of like space Vikings. They're like Marines covered in wolf pelts, and they do a lot of Viking-like stuff with runes and ships and charging and horns and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And PETA thinks it's not ethical for them to support fur trade in their made-up fantasy universe because in real life the fur trade is bad, and so people in fiction shouldn't do it either? I need to know a Space Wolf player's opinion on this.
Well, I don't understand how it's considered fur trade. They clearly didn't look into the history of the Space Wolves. I mean, obviously, you can make an argument that you shouldn't be killing animals, etc.
But Andrew, they're shown wearing those fur pelts.
So the fur pelts of a Space Wolf, according to the history that I remember in the game, to pass basically your rights to be allowed into the Blood Claws, which is the entry-level Space Wolf, like Marine level, you have to go out into the wilderness of the ice planet Fenris and kill yourself a gigantic dire wolf.
But Andrew, you're killing animals?
This is the story, right? So it's not really fur trade. They wear the pelt as a badge of honor for the rest of their career. So it's not...
to show that they're great.
Yeah.
And so, but, the thing that just strikes me is that, Games Workshop, the company, doesn't make anything or have anything related to fur in its products. They make miniatures made entirely of metal that look like fur,
plastic.
maybe, and plastic in a lot of cases.
All cases. No more metal models.
There's nothing made of metal from Games Workshop anymore?
Nope.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know. Mind blower, right?
That sucks.
It's better for paint.
Yeah, sure, you're right. But, man, wow. End of an era. But, so they make plastic models. They make board games. They make books. Video games. None of which have animals or fur in them, Andrew. I feel like this is some misplaced anger here.
I mean, they've never read their fantasy books. Clearly, there's a lot of abuse of horses and other things in there, too.
And, I guess if you're going to pick one place to, single out for this stuff, why would you pick Games Workshop in the Warhammer 40K universe?
I have no idea.
Do you know the stuff that happens in the Warhammer 40K universe? I think genocide is, commonplace in that game, that series, and the, lore of that universe. It's just oh yeah, that planet got wiped out completely. All the 8 billion people on it are just dead. It's fine.
I think PETA should just
that just happens.
Take 6 months off from announcements. Go out and find every single reference to fur in the entire planet and just make a list. And then we just don't have to hear about it anymore.
It's so unbelievably dumb. I mean, I guess they accomplished their goal in getting me to talk about it.
Yep.
But now I just never want I want even less to do with anything that they have to do with. I don't know who sees this and is like, yeah, let's stop them.
I understand PETA's mission. And it's
to be annoying and pointless?
No, it's definitely to raise awareness through over-exaggeration, right? Which is pretty commonplace these days. I mean,
sure.
They've kind of become background noise with much of their strategy being used every single day in politics. So,
I don't know, man. Just like nothing is being accomplished with this other than getting laughed at.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, especially given that it's fiction.
You could find a better target than this, I just think. Like, this is just someone was like, oh, these guys there are wolves on them. Let's get them. Like, no, dude, it's not. Did you even read the books? Like, I don't think they did.
Probably not. Yeah, there do seem to be
Sad.
better targets for this. I don't begrudge PETA their position, but like, yeah, let's
look. Yeah, they can believe whatever they want about whatever people should do or not do with animals, but like, come on, dude.
Let's talk about whether China's actually going to back out of the ivory trade, like they said, or real issues would probably be better served by their attention.
Man, you know who's messing up animals a lot? People and poachers and hunters in Africa.
Yeah,
that would be a good place to direct your concern. Anyway, sorry, as a Space Wolf player, I just needed to hear the lore reasons behind why they're so dumb.
As a Space Wolf player, I find myself saddened and it's sadder because in the lore, yeah, they go out and they kill one wolf each, right?
Right.
But like the respect that they have for these animals above all else is written into these books. So it's like in a weird way, kind of like it's like the old school safari mentality, but like singular, not they're not killing every single animal in existence, right? But at the same time, they respect these animals a ton.
Right.
They live alongside them.
And like, don't the dogs go with them into battle in a lot of cases?
Yeah, a lot of them do. Yeah, and they try to emulate their lives, and it's just kind of like.
You really chose a wrong target here.
It's just definitely not a cut and dry target like they went out and slaughtered wolves and they're wearing their pelts.
I saw this and I was just like, what? Why?
Why is a good question, considering there are many, many, many real-world issues that could be solved by their attention.
Beyond that, I have been playing a lot of The Witcher 3, Andrew.
I am jealous of the amount of time you've been able to put into The Witcher. How many hours are you up to now?
I am currently, as of this recording, at 108 hours.
How do you have that much time?
I play a few hours every night, man. Like, a couple hours here, a couple hours there. On a weekend, maybe you get a couple, one really good session every other weekend or so. It's been pretty nice. I have completed the main game, the base kind of, campaign or whatever. I've also completed the first of the 2 DLCs, the Hearts of Stone, and it was fantastic. Actually, I think some of the character work and stuff in that is actually better than a lot of parts of the main game, to be honest.
I'm not surprised by that. A lot of time gets put into those, especially the first one, because they're basically putting it out right after launch. They want it to be ready, right?
Yeah, I don't know the timeline on release of this, but it was a pretty lengthy amount of stuff, all of which in terms of content and leveling would take place sort of after where you would end the game. Sort of like higher level stuff that you would get into maybe right before the end or at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it was cool. I really liked all that stuff. The characters they introduced for it were cool. A lot of really fun quests and stuff. There was a really cool one, and it's not much of a spoiler to sort of give you the premise, but I had to let a ghost possess my body, and then take the ghost to a wedding and show him the time of his life so that we could exorcise him and let him rest in peace.
Oh, interesting.
So I had a date to the wedding, and the ghost and possessing my body had to go do, I had to, have a good time at this, show the ghost a good time at this wedding while he was using my body for his nefarious and silly means.
It seems a little bit over the top, but I guess, we were talking about a fantasy story anyway.
it is very different from a lot of the seriousness of the rest of that game, and it was a pretty fun change of pace because it's like the same voice actor, right? But like, you know, they let you know through the text who's talking, and so you'll be like, oh, okay, like so this is not Geralt, this is the ghost possessing me. And then the ghost, you know, you'll hear him, but he uses a different affectation for his voice when the ghost is talking. It sounds really silly. He's like, you know, trying to be a sleazy kind of Lothario kind of guy.
Oh, no.
Really, really silly. Yeah. He's like hitting on my date and stuff. And it's just like, yeah, really, really silly.
Okay, so we're going to be on vacation for 2 weeks. I think it's probably a good spot to throw out. After 108 hours, you better have an opinion on The Witcher.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love this game. This game is great.
Okay, so what turned you around, since this is so open world, that you would recommend somebody with no time like we have to spend that much time on it?
Well, so I don't know that I necessarily recommend you spend all this time, but like the stuff that I like in this game is less. In fact, I use the fast travel system as much as possible. I don't like to ride around on my horse through the countryside and pick up the like herbs and berries and whatever. I don't go to the random monster caves or whatever unless I'm looking for something specific in there. And I, you know, beeline not just the story content, but like the writing content, I would say. Because a lot of that writing is also contained in the secondary quests and stuff too. So, you know, I will run through the city till I get to my quest marker and, you know, engage with the quest there and then run to the next part of the quest or teleport to the other side of the city where the next part of the quest is. So like the open world aspect of it doesn't add that much to me. It's cool to see that whole big city and the whole open fields and countrysides and whatever, but if the game just moved me around in levels, I don't know that I would care that much as long as the writing stayed the way it was.
Okay, so the writing really sold you on this game.
Yeah, it's the choice, it's the writing, it's that kind of stuff that I really like. The characters, you know, that I have, you know, spent quite a lot of time with at this point, you know. It's pretty good.
Nice. So does that get the stamp?
Yeah, it should. And the third DLC, I will just say I'm in it. I have not completed it yet. Blood and Wine. The third DLC is like the size of an entire game or something. It's gigantic. An entirely separate region, completely cordoned off from the rest of the game. It's like fantasy medieval France with wine and all this stuff. It's great. It's really fun.
So you just take your character over there at some point?
Right. It's like a high level kind of end game thing. So after the game ends, you know, it drops you back in. Oh, keep adventuring if you want or whatever. And then you can go off and do this stuff. But it just has a really nice feel because the area where the game takes place in is kind of cold and dreary and bad stuff is going on there. This land is at peace. There's knights roaming the fields. You know, there's a bunch of vineyards you can ride through. It's like a lot happier and cheerier. It just has a fun kind of feeling.
Oh, cool. So they kind of take you out of the, not only the story, but the setting. That's awesome.
Yeah, and they drop you in this, you know, pseudo-French duchy, and they, you know, talk to you. You know, you get to meet the Duchess and all her court, and there's intrigue and vampires and all kinds of stuff. It's cool.
That's something you miss from Skyrim, I think, because they've gone to other places in the other games, but you can't really leave the same area style thing.
Yeah. And like The Witcher 2 was very similar in that, where it took place kind of in like a smallish area. And like, yeah, you'd go to different locations in that area, but they weren't all as big and as open as The Witcher 3 is. But this is like, oh yeah, here's this here's this DLC. You know, you think, oh, okay, well, like based on the size of the first one, it'll just be some new quests and stuff in this area I was in before. Nope, whole new area, completely new map, different stuff. Have fun.
That's awesome. That makes me want to play it.
Really, really cool.
Nice.
So yeah, I recommend the whatever version that has all the DLCs included if people want to get it.
Yeah, wait for the game of the year to go on sale.
Yeah, it is out there and has been on sale. So
Grand Tour time? Is it time? Can we talk about it?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
We were wrong.
Yeah, there's one more after this one. This wasn't the last one.
Lucky number 13.
Yeah, I don't know why. I guess it's just not usually a common number to end on 13, right? So
I guess it's 12, right? Because there was a two-parter.
Yeah. Oh, like that first one was double length or something?
No, the
Oh, you're right.
The special episode was split
That's
in
right.
half.
They broke the desert one in half.
Right.
Yeah. They filled 12 programs, but broke one into a two-part.
What'd you think of this one?
I loved it as usual. I really don't ever. I think I like everything they do, so it's going to be tough for me to say bad stuff about it. But this was another good one. They did SUVs, which are not like my jam as far as cars go. But it was pretty fun. Their little race around the what was it, rock quarry or something?
Yeah, it seemed like some sort of rock quarry, but well, we got to say, I think they used a Bentley.
Yeah, it was
something,
whatever the Bentley SUV is,
a Range Rover, and a Jag, some other SUV.
It's like the Jaguar, like middle upper end SUV, Range Rover Discovery or whatever, and then a Bentley one.
Other than that, Jag's bracelet system, I don't like the look of that car. I didn't like.
Yeah, I can't say that the Jag. I actually, to be honest, don't really like the look of any of those cars. Again, like SUVs aren't my thing, but in terms of like the practicality of them and whatever, right? Like it's kind of inverse order of price to usefulness.
Sure.
The Bentley is the least useful, but the nicest, like it only has 2 back seats, but they're upholstered in like rich, fancy stitched leather and mahogany wood and crystal glasses and stuff. And you're like, this is not useful for anyone at all.
Wood that comes from a sea cliff.
Yeah, whatever. Some stupid stuff. And then the Range Rover, of course, is very useful, but like also costs $120,000, or more.
And the gas mileage is probably terrible,
of course. But they are wonderful cars. I'm sure they're very useful. I know the Top Gear people, the Grand Tour people use them for all their camera crews, so they're very capable cars. Just not necessarily the most practical day to day. And then the Audi is probably the most practical and also the most affordable, but then that means it's not the coolest.
Right, yeah. How do you get...
Although, by the way, most practical still means it costs like, $60,000-$70,000.
How do you get approval, even from Amazon, to say the words Vank and kissing and the other place they went that I'm not going to even try to say?
They didn't say that word. That's how. They never said that last one. They alluded to it. They like, and or and this place, and pointed to it on a map, but they never said it.
How do they get away with it?
I don't know. Shows are allowed to be rated a certain thing. It's the internet. I don't know that the guidelines are so strict.
It just shows they have kind of carte blanche, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can say that you went to a town named... I mean, they're all real places, by the way. I looked this up because I was not sure. They are all real places in Austria and Germany. Vonk and Kissing and this other place that they went to. And Wedding.
No, they never made it to Wedding.
No, that's right. They were attempting to get there and they didn't go. Yeah, but they're all real places. But, you're being factual, right? We started in this road. Apparently, they did post their driving directions from those places to the other places if you wanted to recreate their road trip. Oh, God. Don't know why, but hey.
Okay, so the big question, I think, from the episode is, do you think he cheated?
Clarkson?
Yeah, on the track.
Of course, yeah. He didn't follow the same course as anyone else. It's definitely cheating. Right?
I don't know. He proves a point. The other two couldn't go off-road.
Yeah, but I think they also didn't try.
Fair enough.
You are probably right, though, that they probably couldn't have driven through that lake or whatever it was like he did. So, I mean, he is right, but in a way that, of course, only Jeremy Clarkson can be, which is kind of a jerk and self-centered. But hey, it made the episode fun. Yeah.
I almost, for a second, believed that them bowling over the table of beans was real based on James May's face.
Yeah, you knew it was scripted, of course, but pretty funny anyway.
We all wear Ray-Bans.
Yeah, there you go, right? Pair of Ray-Bans, these crazy-looking sunglasses, or these diamond-encrusted ones. Everyone just buys Ray-Bans. Well,
I think on that note, I know it was a little bit of a light week, but we have vacations coming up. There wasn't a ton of crazy news, and given that we were inundated with rain and that we got to get going on trips, we didn't have a ton of video game time. It's nice to have a light week, right?
Yeah, it's good to be relaxed back in stuff, you know?
Mm-hmm. Not like crazy with all the Switch news and everything else we had to have, but
yeah,
we'll be back, and I'm sure there'll be tons to talk about. There's going to be a Fire Emblem game coming out in 2 days.
No, I know. I'm ready to download. I will see how it goes. Probably play some over my vacation.
Oh, I'm sure that I'm going to try to get time in with it. We'll see. And so we'll be back. If you guys have any comments on the new Fire Emblem game or any of the stuff we brought up this episode, where can they do that, JJ?
You can hit us up at podcast@weweregamers.com, which is an email address to send emails. Or if you don't like that stuff because it's old and you don't care about emails anymore, then all the social medias, you can find us at We Were Gamers, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever other ones I forgot about. We're on there. Send us a message, drop us a line, whatever. We want to hear your thoughts about the news and whatever we're talking about. Do we want to give them previews of what the upcoming episodes are?
Oh, yeah. For those that stuck around at the end, they get a preview. So the next episode, episode 40, will be JJ's theme of a host primer. So a discussion about each one of us from the other person's perspective. And I've listened to it again, and it was really good. And at the end of that one, there's also a long, lengthy section on something that we've talked about on the previous episode and on other episodes in the past, the net neutrality and what it means, because it's an issue that both of us feel extremely strongly about. And then,
and you know, to be frank, it's an issue that if you use the internet a lot, you should feel strongly about as well.
Oh, listen to the episode. Hopefully, we convince you that you should feel strongly about it as well. And if you've never thought to tell somebody about the podcast before, or you never thought that we've said anything important on the podcast before, episode 40, the next one, is a good one as a jumping on point for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good place to onboard, kind of learn a little bit about us, and then a little bit about something we care about.
Yeah. And then we've also got episode 41, right, JJ?
Yeah. And episode 41 was Andrew's idea, where we would discuss some old games, some DOS-based games that we had from our childhoods, and games that we loved. We made some listicles, which are really cool these days. All kids like lists.
And you don't even have to click through them.
Yeah, you don't have to click through them. You just listen, and they will unfold. I believe we chose 5-ish. Didn't really get 5, but there's 5-ish on each of our lists, and you find out old games that we think are really great and you should still play. That came out on DOS specifically.
Yeah. So we'll see you in 3 weeks.